let's jump right into Lovecrafty chapter 4 from chapter 6. Reading chapters as fast as I can so I can come back and talk to my book buddies about what happened. And I would say I'm late in the game for this book, but I discuss all books and I love all books and I'd love to have to share my thoughts and premonitions and to have this little and have our own unique conversations of this little group that we're creating together. If you're new, hi, I'm Tinkerbell, and I'm reading Lovecrafty for the very first time, and I'd love to bring you along for that journey. And I am reading 3 chapters at a time, and then coming back and talking to y'all about it. And seeing if you guys have any thoughts, what my thoughts are, my premonition, like when like the first 3 chapters I would like choose very undertones of like, you're doing this because somebody you lost somebody to this cancer, and comes to find out I was right. It was her mom who she lost to her pancreas. It was pancreas cancer. I was like, Pan. That's the things that we can talk about as I make more videos than just the one video. So let's just, with no further ado, let's jump into actually what happened in chapter 4, chapter 6. We have our first 2 dates of our fake dating journey, of Olive and Adam trying to convince people that they are dating. A coffee date once a week for 10 minutes at the campus coffee shop to get more complicated than neither of them signed up for. Because the first coffee date was fine. It's a little awkward, but it was fine. And they found out what each other's favorite color was, which I thought was very cute. The little banter of him going like, I don't have a color. And she goes, we had to have favorite color. He goes, fine, black. I'm like, black's not a color. And then like later on, in like a chapter later, she's like, what's your favorite color? And she goes, oh, I don't know, it's really a good question. And she goes, I guess white. And he goes right back at her, like, I can't accept that. White's not a color. So I love when people do that, where they like take a joke and they put on later on. But yeah, I read that I thought banter would be like cute, and how I liked how the author was they're talking about how white and black are not colors, because technically they're not colors, they're shades. Where each one of them are born. It's Olive's Canadian, and Adam is born in the Netherlands because his mom, like, his job was in the Netherlands when he was, of course, when she was pregnant with him. So the plot thickens, you should say, because they're on their second date, and all of a sudden this guy comes up and he goes, they're about to be done with like their 10 minutes a week meeting, but all of a sudden they walk outside and they're like, okay, and trying to like wrap it up, and the guy comes up and he goes, hey, Adam, and he come to find out that guy who walked up to Adam happens to be the guy who Olive wants to impress to get into his lab, which is in Boston, to continue on her work. And this whole, they're like 3 parts of the story. There are Olive and Adam, Olive's friends, and her work to go to this guy's lab so she can continue on her work. The lab she has right now is not suiting her. She can't advance her work at her current lab. She really wants to get into this guy's lab, who, come to find out, the reason he's at the campus is not to meet Olive. He's doing that because he was there. No, he came to this campus where they both work to meet Adam, to work with Adam. But neither one of them knows this because they're fake dating and barely know anything about each other. Because they didn't meet each other for like not even a week guy Adam just won a grant with, is working with, is also the guy that Olive wants to impress and meeting with later on that day to be able to go and work in his lab next year. So the plot thickens, as you can say. Things get messier than both of them. Either one of them sign on for. So they had this very awkward, and I mean awkward, encounter where the three of them go back into the coffee shop, and he's like, well, why do we gotta wait till this afternoon? Just do it right now. And like, because you had a meeting at like 3 o'clock, because she thought she had all the time to prepare and make sure everything's perfect at 3 o'clock. So why? I digress. So the three of them go back in the coffee shop, and he asked her all these questions, and Adam's like, those aren't good questions. So he asked his own questions, and she all of a sudden, because his questions were better than the guy's questions, and all of a sudden she like knows every answer, and she answers it very articulately and like and perfect per se. And her, yeah, it was twice. He cut her off. He cut him off with a question, then he cut him off with like, well, why do you want to study like this certain cancer? And she was like, well, my mom. And then she is, of course, like very emotional, very silent after that. And he's like, well, when he loses it, he's trying to like pry into the situation. And Adam's like, are you kidding me? No. Stop. So he finally does stop, and he's like, well, I've read your work. It's fantastic. So if you can get me like a certain packet of materials of what you have now, if you have, because I think you have advanced of what you advanced in what you did before I read it. So if you can get me everything you're doing now, so I can like see if I really want to have my lab next year and I can actually help you, give me this packet by next week. And she goes, of course, I would love to. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And then he's like, well, also, I'm actually doing a talk tomorrow, so like if you want to come. And he goes, yeah, of course. She'd never come back in my life, so he goes, walks off to get coffee, and she goes, so talk. When and where is it? And he goes, I'll send you the dates. So she goes to the talk, and of course, it's like the most packed it could ever be in this auditorium, and she accidentally gets pushed towards Adam, who's of course at the front of the freaking auditorium, and her friend, who she started this all because of, is with her, and she's like, hey, why don't you sit on your boyfriend's lap, because there's not enough room, and why don't you just use your boyfriend as a chair? So this was it's awkward at first, and it's still kind of awkward, but the whole time she's sitting on the author, like, she's actually very comfortable and almost falling asleep on Adam because how comfortable she is sitting on him. So this happens for 2 hours, then they leave, obviously, and then this truck broke down and it's stopping all traffic, and everybody's pissed about it because it's like blocking this exit. How Adam got involved, but all of a sudden he's like in action, and he's like, he's gonna fix the problem. He just comes out of nowhere, and he just decides to push the broken down truck out of the lanes of traffic into the closest empty parking lot. And of course he's sweating because he just pushed a broken down truck by himself to safety and out of the way. And so the best friend's like, hey, your boyfriend just moved the truck by himself. He deserves a kiss. And she's a little hesitant at first, and she goes, well, why did y'all want to give him a kiss? He just pushed a whole truck. Why don't you go and give him a kiss? So finally she goes over there, they have a cute little talk, and then she goes, well, my friend's looking, so like, I told her I'd give you a kiss. So they had their second kiss. Pretty much it of the highlights of chapter 4 to chapter 6. They have 2 dates. It's more complicated than they plan on. But we do believe that everybody is buying that they're dating. And they only learned 2 things about each other, which is where they're born and what their favorite color is. Because she was like, well, if actually we're dating, people would expect me to know what their color is. Because like, but she is right. Like when you start dating, like how'd you meet? Like where are they from? What's your favorite color? Like all of these like little questions we ask each other to get to know one another. Now I am off to read chapter 7 through chapter 9. And so, yes, Liz, I would love for us to about your thoughts down below.